Monday. Cannot believe it's April 20th. Just going to give it a minute for people to come online and then we will get started. If you missed it, I asked on Instagram and Facebook which book I should flip open today. And the answer today was Leap, which is my second of 4 guidebooks. And the subtitle is How to Overcome Doubt, Fear, and Grief and Choose the Path of Joy. This is a really beautiful book about my struggles to live authentically despite life not really going as planned. And I am so excited to kind of share an excerpt from it today. I actually flipped it open the other day and there was a really beautiful excerpt in there about my dad's terminal cancer diagnosis and his response when being told he was sick initially before he was even terminal. And it was that energy of, I've lived a wonderful life. And I was telling friends this morning how that's kind of what I aspire for. And I wrote about it in Leap. But when I flipped it open today, I flipped to a really beautiful spot and wanted to talk a bit about bracing for the worst. If you're always feeling like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop or bracing for what's next, there's a reason that feels uncomfortable. And this is called hypervigilance. And it's something that I've really noticed in myself. Something where I'm always on, I'm always preparing, I'm always coming up with backup plans and worst case scenario. And how perfect in approaching this, wanting to talk about hypervigilance, that I flipped to page 67 in Leap. And this is an exercise on this page that talks about thinking about what is the worst that could happen, how we tend to get caught up in what's the worst that could happen. If I'm prepared for it, if I have a plan for it, maybe it won't hurt as much. And the reframe in this chapter is to think about what's the best thing that could happen? What if you allowed yourself a little bit of permission to just soften, even 5%, into the potential of what is the best case scenario? And I actually have it written out here in my book where you can think of a situation that you're probably anticipating, probably losing sleep over, and you can write down all the fears. You can dump all those fears down on this page. This could happen, this could happen. Oh my gosh, what if I lost somebody, or what if something bad could happen? And you can kind of get it out, dump it on this page. There's even a notes section if you have more negative worst case scenario thoughts that you're bracing for. And then on the right-hand side, you do a slight reframe. So you have all these worst case scenarios. It's honestly usually what we default to, especially with the world we're living in where you can be surrounded by negativity. So if you dump those negative worries, the things that you're bracing for, the shoes that could drop, it feels lighter instantly. And then you get to go to the juicy side. Now, this is something that in this book I write about giving ourselves permission to believe in the good, to be open to the potential of the good, of the best case scenario possibly happening. And this is where faith comes in. And I talk in this book about that. So I'm going to read an excerpt here from Leap, page 68, after we've done that exercise. And it's right after I left my dad to go on my honeymoon to Hawaii. Now in here I talk about how he threatened to come haunt us if we didn't go on our trip. But we got on this plane and I write, "We were told to enjoy our trip and we headed out, forced to receive and to do our best to let go of guilt, whether we liked it or not. As I surrendered to my emotions and promised to do my best to make my daddy proud, I could feel my heart opening up to welcome in the love around me that I so desperately needed. And I was about to be surprised by the magic coming our way." And this is the really cool thing about Leap. When I first wrote this book, it was meant to be about building my confidence, stepping into my life as a spiritual speaker and author and healer. And then my dad got sick. And I found out I was going to be a mom on the same day that my dad's diagnosis was terminal. And it shaped me. It really could have triggered that fight or flight or fawn reflex, that perfectionist, that people pleasing, that bracing that we're talking about today. But because I'd really worked to deepen my intuition in the years leading up to my dad's diagnosis and into becoming married and getting pregnant, I found myself more open. And I went to Hawaii on my honeymoon, and there were amazing signs, amazing synchronicities, best case scenarios that really played out, despite it being a really hard time in my life. And one of the things I love to teach is that both things can be true. So you will have challenges in life. You will have things that do not go your way. There will be times in your life where you have a big plan and God laughs and things don't go as you'd hoped. But sometimes I think we tend to dwell there and live there and prepare for that. And in doing so, you send out a vibration that can magnetize a little bit more of that doom and gloom or bracing or fight or flight. And when we're working to heal our hypervigilance, we want to get intuitive, we want to get curious. And that's where thinking about the potential best case scenario is going to be something that will help. So that's your challenge. I want you to think of a situation in your life that you're bracing for. Now, most of the women I work with, they're not actually in danger. We have this fight or flight response, but we live in a society where we're not actually in danger, but our brains trick us into thinking we are. So I'm challenging you this week. Where are you bracing? Where are you nervous? For me, I kind of get puffed up and protective. I put on protective weight, or I feel bloated, or I feel on edge, and it's really hard for me to relax. So take that breath, put that hand on that heart, and continue to think about, with curiosity, what's the best case scenario? What if something great happened? What if God opened the window because this door closed? And let me know how that goes for you in the comments below, because I would love, love, love to hear what that feels like for you, to give yourself permission. This is your permission slip to be open to the possibilities of really wonderful things. This is why this book is called Leap, because we do open up. We leap before the net appears, trusting that magic is waiting around the corner. And in this book, I do go on to talk about the signs and the synchronicities and the beautiful things that happened, not just when I was on my honeymoon, but when we returned, that really let me know that I was allowed to grieve and celebrate simultaneously, side by side. I was allowed to be prepared and grounded and inspired in the moment to act, while also daydreaming about the potential for something even better. So that is your challenge. Let me know how that goes. Thank you for joining me live. Thanks for watching the replay. I will be here next week. I do plan to try and come live next week as well at 11:11. So make sure you subscribe, and then on your subscriptions feed, it should pop up when I go live at 11:11. But the replay is also always available. And sometimes I post a video at 11:11 on Mondays if I can't make it live, if I'm on the road doing a speaking event or a book signing. So till next time, thank you so much. Have a blessed, blessed week ahead. We had the new moon energy. It's perfect for magnetizing some of those positive possibilities.